If I Were, Part 3. Before I start, let me just personally thank every one of you guys for helping me out on these If I Weres. Let's go. If I were a piece of ham, I'd be glad I wasn't Spam. If I were a unicorn, I'd only have one corn. Get it? If I were a toilet, I'd want to be clear and have fishes swimming in me. If I were a rock star, I'd make out with you, unless you had a cold sore on your lip. If I were a dinosaur, I'd be extinct. If I were a battery, I'd last longer than that fucking Energizer bunny. If I were a drag queen, I'd be one ugly ass drag queen. If I were a piece of paper, I'd be a blank piece. No, I'd be lined. College ruled. If I were spaghetti, I'd go straight to your thighs. If I were a potato chip, I'd be all that and a bag of. If I were a tampon, if I were Chuck Norris's beard, wow. At least I'd be able to grow. If I were 80 years old, I'd still be pimping it up. If I were homeless, I wouldn't have a home. If I were half cat, half dog, I'd chase myself. If I were a Mario brother, I'd want to be Luigi. But I'd also be pissed because people call me a Mario brother. Luigi's his own person too. If I were someone famous, I would be able to spend money. If I were Krill about to get eaten by a whale. Oh shit. If I were to immigrate, I would move to England so I could have some tea and crumpets. If I were Hank from King of the Hill, I would be the King of the Hill. If I were a three-legged midget, I'd be a tripod. If I were Sarah Palin, I'd be hot. If I were fat, I'd be big and beautiful, baby. It ain't my fault I eat my feelings. If I were Zac Efron, I'd be gay. If I were gay, I'd be Zac Efron. If I were a one-eyed parrot, oh, pirate, I'd steal another eye. If I were a llama with a triple identity going through a midlife crisis in Connecticut whose girlfriend just had a sex change, my life would be f***ed up. If I were on the show Sopranos, I'd be a tenor. If I were an astronaut, I'd be able to go in space. That's it. If I were Fred, you know what? I wouldn't even try anymore. If I were an iPod, I'd have music. If I were a Pokemon, I would be... oh, what's that rock guy? Joe, dude. If I were an electric pickle, I'd be shockingly delicious. You like that one, don't you? If I were a dancing llama... why llamas? Why? Why llama? Anyway. If I were a dancing llama juggling bananas with a sombrero on, I'd probably be the most talented llama in the world. I would take that on the road and make bank. If I were a fly on the wall of a brothel, that's gross. I'd close all of my eyes. Except for one. Just because you never know, somebody's gonna try to kill you. Me. If I were a doorknob that didn't lock, I'd be dumb. Dumb as a doorknob. Never mind. If I were allergic to water, wow, I'd be Flavor Flav. If I were a black and white TV, I'd be racist against all other colors. If I were SpongeBob SquarePants, Who says I'm not already, bitch? If I were a rainbow, I'd pop out Skittles. If I were a really bad book that everyone had to read for school. Sorry. If I were a straw, I'd be bendy. The bendy straw is not bendy body. If I were an elf who is forced to run on a huge hamster wheel in order to produce electricity for Santa's workshop, I'd quit. If I were a male model, I wouldn't eat. If I were your left ass cheek, I'd be jealous if you spanked the right. If I were a cartoon, I'd be Chili from Woody Woodpecker, because he's so damn cute. Hershey Symphony. Like a symphony in my mouth. If I were the richest person on earth, I'd be Oprah. If I were a pencil with no point, I'd be pointless. If I were my mother, I'd have such a wonderful son. If I weren't naked, I'd get naked. If I were a 6-pack of beer, I'd want to be an 18. If I were George Bush, I'd give up. If I were a dirty white towel, wouldn't be white, would I? If I were my shower, I'd actually run hot water. If I were a panda, I'd do all I can to revive my species. If I were your face, again, I'm sorry. If I were smellier than the inside of a fake leg, I don't even know what an inside of a fake leg smells like. I don't even think I want to know. If I were K as for Candace, I'd know how to sing. Good. If I were lost in China, oh my god. I don't know Chinese, and it's a pretty big place. I'd be screwed. If I were surrounded by rabid puppies. Oh my god, you a puppy? Are you a puppy? Oh, you little fucker, you bit me. If I were a $3 bill, I'd be fake. If I were a transsexual, I'd have the best of both worlds. That was wrong. If I were a cell phone with terrible reception, I would have a contract with AT&T. If I were a bottle of Windex, I'd keep your windows clean, make you run into your sliding doors. If I were a zombie, I'd be dead. If I were a gun, I'd shoot you. If I were emo, I'd shoot myself. If I were a chicken, I'd make some tasty nuggets. If I were at a bar and I passed out and Britney Spears tried to give me mouth to mouth. If it's the most recent Britney Spears, then hey. If I were in New Zealand, then I wouldn't move. If I were Jay Leno's chin, I'd look like a butt. If I were stuck with my tongue to a frozen pole. 3 words. Give me hot water. 4 words. Shut up. If I were Hitler. If I were a disease, I'd give people polka dots. If I were an egg, I'd be boiled with a little salt. If I were subscribed to you, you'd have awesome videos. If I were invisible, you couldn't see me. If I were Santa Claus, I'd be plump. I'd be plump and jolly. I'd be plump, jolly, and have a lot of little people as slaves. If I were a girl, I'd blame it all on PMS. If I were to find out my life was one long music video, it is. If I were the sun, everything would revolve around me. If I were a muffin, I'd be a blueberry. Those are good. That was not even half of the ones you guys gave me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it now and then do the rest another day. If I were part 3, episode 2, sometime in the next couple weeks. Stay tuned.